Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is UCD Videos, how you guys doing? And I just got back from seeing Godzilla vs. Kong, and I gotta say that I was thoroughly impressed. It is not the best movie in the world, far from it. In fact, I wouldn't even say it's the best MonsterVerse movie, but I still think it was very entertaining, and I'm kind of glad that I saw it in the theater. So, this is, of course, the sort of Avengers Endgame of the MonsterVerse. This is a thing that they've been sort of teasing was going to happen ever since they had the Kong Skull Island movie a few years ago. And in that respect, it doesn't disappoint. You know, the action is amazing, right? The fights are like top-notch, probably the best monster fights in any movie ever, you know. They do not disappoint at all. The effects are awesome, of course. You know, that part really holds up. You know, the movie's fast-paced, which is really nice. You know, they're not shy about showing the monsters. You know, you see plenty of shots of them, full body shots in broad daylight. You know, that kind of thing with all the detail and you know, blood and spittle flying and pounding noises and all that stuff. It's really, really good as far as that aspect of it goes. Don't have a lot of good things to say about the rest of the movie though. The characters, you know, schmaracters, really. They don't really get much in the way of development. At times it's kind of hard to even remember what their names are some of the times, you know, so that's always a bad sign when you're watching a movie and you don't know what the character's name is that you're watching, and it's like, what? You know, that's always a bad sign. That means that you can't identify with them, and kind of a sign of a bad writing, you know. Plot has a lot of plot holes, like a lot of them. And after a little while, it kind of just becomes a MacGuffin. You know, the plot is just there to fill shit in between monster fights, and that becomes pretty apparent later on. You know, I could say some of the actors are pretty good, you know, and some of the way that some of the characters are written is funny. There's some good jokes that land pretty hard, which is nice. But there's a hell of a lot of bad dialogue in this, like a lot of bad dialogue. Like it's almost kind of like they filmed the trailer first and then filmed the movie around the trailer. Like there's some lines that they go, okay, this is gonna sound good in the trailer, and then they had to like figure out how that fits into the movie. You know, like literally, like there's so many. You know, you ever like a good example of a movie that has this many cringeworthy lines of dialogue is the Batman Returns movie from 1989. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's just like every line of dialogue is so cheesy that, you know, it's funny how bad it is. Like this almost hits that level where there's just so like one after another cheesy ass cringy fucking dialogue that shit that nobody would ever say in real life. Right? That lines that they cut out of the trailer, then they put it in the trailer to make it look cool, and that are just extremely awkward when they say them. That happens so many times in this movie, and it's not just, you know, once or twice. Like King of the Monsters had that same problem, you know, like there's that one jokey dude who was like, you know, people go, oh my god, and he'd be like, Zilla, you know. Right? That level of cheeseball in this movie. Like, you know, there's a part where Mecha Godzilla, you know, comes out. Oh, by the way, past this point, spoilers, I'm sorry. There's this part where Mecha Godzilla comes out, and, you know, and then the people are looking at him, and then the one guy looks and he's, oh my god, some kind of robot Godzilla, and then this kid goes, no, it's Mecha Godzilla. And the way he says it is so dramatic and powerful, and your hand just flies up into your face, and you have to like stop your hand from hitting yourself in the face because you're face palming so hard. You're just like, fuck, stop, I'm gonna break my own nose. This so face palming is just so, I don't know. And so it's just an automatic reaction for me. I'm just like, oh god, this is horrible. Oh wait, careful, I'm gonna break my nose again. So lots of that. There is a lot of that extremely cheeseball dialogue going. But you know, the thing is about a Godzilla movie is, do you really care? about the people, the characters? You know, do you really care about the human people in a Godzilla movie? Like, not really. You know, seriously, do you honestly care? Like, as a fan of this stuff, I'm a pretty big fan of Godzilla. You know, um, I gotta say, it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all because that's exactly what the movies from like the '60s are. You know, the movies in the 1960s and '70s, right? They're not about the people. It's, you know, a Godzilla movie is about monsters, you know, smashing into each other and crushing buildings and blowing shit up. And the people exist in a Godzilla movie to just basically stand around and go, he went that away. That's all they gotta do. They just have to show up. There just has to be the barest, like, semblance of a plot in order to keep things moving, you know? And that's what they do in this movie. And I gotta say that, you know, it was as good as I could have expected. You know what I mean? Like, it fits in really well with the sort of campy Godzilla films of the '70s. I could put it that way, right? And you know, that's the thing. It's a movie about giant monsters that smash things up and breathe, like, you know, radioactive laser beams and stuff, and, you know, that kind of thing. It's not going to be Gone with the Wind. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to have award-winning dialogue or whatever that's gonna, you know, they're not gonna win an Academy Award and shit for best screenplay, right? It's good brainless fun, and in that respect, it delivers very well. So there are a lot of scenes that I actually really did like. There's a part where they go to sort of the Hollow Earth, you know, and, you know, they discover like the lost city of the Kongs or whatever. And they're running through, and these two flying snake monsters come out. They're called war bats, apparently, although they never say that in the movie. You know, they come out, and Kong fights them, and he's beating the crap out of one, and he rips its head off, and he, like, drinks its fucking blood and stuff. And, dude, that was the best part of the whole movie, when, like, he fights those two snake things. That ruled. You know, the whole sequence, when they're running around in the subterranean Hollow Earth thing, and you see all these weird creatures everywhere. There's like crabs and like dinosaurs and shit, and like flying pterodactyls and all that. That was really cool, and they should have, you know, they should have had the entire movie take place there, right? So, I'd be really happy. I would watch a movie of just that, of them running around in the Hollow Earth and shit. So that was really cool. There was a couple of other, you know, sequences that I really liked as well. There were some homages to the old movies. There's a part where they transport Kong in by like helicopter, you know, because he's like, there's the scene where they're on the boats and there's the fight and all that, and then they strap him up to helicopters and they fly him, you know, and it's sort of a homage to the original, you know, the original King Kong versus Godzilla, where they kind of do the same thing. So that was kind of cool. Just to kind of give a little backstory here, the very first movie I ever bought with my own money was King Kong vs. Godzilla. Way back in the day when I was like 8 years old, and I had like, you know, and I remember I had like $10 and I bought this VHS tape, right? And I watched it so many times that the tape started getting lines through it and stuff. So I've seen the original, like, you know, the American version of the original, like, you know, 100 times. So I was very happy to even see this. I've often imagined what it would be like for them to remake that movie with modern, you know, special effects and stuff like that. And I gotta say that I'm not, you know, disappointed. Not disappointed. I'm actually very happy with what they did. It looked fantastic, and through the entire thing, I felt like I was 8 years old again. Just like, this is the greatest movie ever, right? It was really good, even with the cheesy dialogue, even with the stupid plot holes, and there are a lot of them. You know, even with the, even with the cringy, you know, delivery of lines that don't fit, and like, you know, shit that doesn't make sense. There's a lot of shit in this movie that doesn't make sense. You know, even with all of that, it was like fantastic. And I'm probably gonna get it on Blu-ray and watch it another 100 times after it comes out. So definitely worth the wait, you know. It's kind of sad. I think this is probably going to end up being the last MonsterVerse movie, which is kind of sad because now they could really take it a lot of ways. You know what I mean? They, you know, they have this whole Hollow Earth subterranean world now with all these different creatures in it that they could make 100 movies about. So I'm kind of hoping that they make another one. I mean, who knows? This might end up being the last one, and if it is, I think it's a good one to go off at, you know, to go to end with. So definitely worth seeing, you know, any way you can, whether that's through HBO or in the theaters or whatever, you know. And I really enjoyed it. That's all I got, folks. Adios.